Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad that you are here. I'm outside today. It is a beautiful day right now, and today is supposed to kick off 7 days of sunshine according to the weather, and I am here for it. You know, in this area, we're in Tennessee in zone 7B. We have had a month of rain, tornado sirens, tornado warnings, tornado watches. It's been all the things, but according to the weather forecast, we're supposed to have 7 days of beautiful, beautiful weather, and today is the first day. So I'm outside today, and y'all, on this video, I'm just gonna do the stuff that I don't want to do, and I just thought I would turn on the camera and take you along with me to keep me company. So if you're brand new here, my name is Barbara. We garden, and like I said, in Tennessee in zone 7B. All right, now I'm sitting in my outside garden where we have a 4,000 in-ground garden. Then you can see behind me we have also a high tunnel, and then I also have raised beds behind my house. It's too hot to be in the high tunnel right now. It's almost 100 degrees in there, and so, but it's very, very pleasant out here, especially when the breeze comes through. So today, y'all, I have about 30 minutes on this first leg, and so I'm out here to prune and clip my tomatoes. I've been talking about it, but delaying. It's one of the tasks that I don't necessarily enjoy doing, but it has to be done if I want beautiful, disease-free tomatoes. So I'm gonna get it done. And there's some other little garden tasks, things that I don't want to do, but I know that I got to do. So that's what this video is all about. I'm just doing the things that you don't want to do, but it's necessary if you want to have an abundant garden. So drop down in the comments for me, what is your least favorite garden task? Let's all commiserate together. And maybe it's something that you don't like to do that I like to do. I got other things on the list that I would much rather do, but I am forcing myself, making myself do this right here, because this whole row, 100-foot row of tomatoes has not been pruned, has not been clipped to the trellis, and a lot of them are on the ground, and I already know what's going to happen with them being on the ground. So we're going to get it done. So let me just show you and remind you when it comes to pruning. Okay, so let's talk about pruning, and let me remind you kind of what I'm doing. So you can see this tomato plant here. I've pruned it all the way up to about here. And so about 18 inches. I like to keep the bottom part clear. And then I've started to clip it onto the trellis. So I will put another clip there, and that way it'll just be clipped all the way up, and so that way it'll have support. And this is just a cattle panel trellis, as you can see. Inside our tunnel, in there, we use string trellising method, but out here we use a cattle panel. So I am just gonna go down this whole row, and we're gonna get it done. I'm gonna pop on some music, zone out, and just get it done. Okay, y'all, I got this whole row done. Let me show you a little bit of what it looks like. So I cleared the whole row. You can see all the debris in the aisleway. And y'all, you're not gonna believe this, but I already saw some aphids on my tomato. So it's so good that I went ahead and did what I was supposed to do, even though I didn't want to do it. So let me show you some footage of what the aphids look like, in case you're new, or just so that you can see what I'm talking about. Now, as I started going, the first part of the row was good. When I got maybe 60% of the way through, that's when I started seeing aphids all the way down on every tomato plant. These up here, I didn't see any at all. And I'm looking just to make sure I didn't miss anything, but I didn't. All of these up front are clean, but 60% of the way down, all the way down, is nothing but aphids. So I'm so glad I did not wait for another week to do this. And here's the lesson. There's things in the garden that we love to do. There's some things in the garden that we don't love to do. And sometimes we put it off saying, okay, I don't have the time, because guilty. I've been saying, I don't have time to prune the tomatoes. And really, I have had some time. I have just chose to do other things that I would prefer to do, if I'm just being honest. But today I'm like, let me get it done. Let me get it done. And so I still have some tomatoes on another row to do. And then I need to go back in to the tomatoes in the tunnel. But first, I'm going to treat these tomatoes right here before the aphids spread and before we have a real issue. So let's go in the tunnel and get some spray, and let's spray these tomatoes. So what I'm going to use is a mixture of neem oil, and I've diluted it with water. I have a spray bottle. This is a small spray bottle, I know that, but let me show you. I have two this size, two, y'all, and I can't get neither one of them to spray. I mean, nothing. It's making a whole lot of noise, but no spray. So this is one that I had that I know sprays well. So I'm gonna see how far this gets me. If not, I'll have to use my backpack sprayer, but let's see. Hey guys, it is actually 2 days later, and I've been out of town. I came back to check to see how my tomatoes were doing that had the aphids on it, and also to check on the squash that I showed you 2 videos ago that had squash bug eggs. I think on the video I said aphids, but it's really squash bug eggs. I misspoke. But first on the tomatoes. So now 2 days later, I still see aphids on what I sprayed with neem oil. So now we're about to take it up a notch. Now I could spray neem oil again, because sometimes it takes more than one application to get the aphids off. You can also use a stream of water, insecticidal soap. You can do all that, but I'm about to take it up a notch because I just wanted to be done, and I want to be done quickly. So the next thing I'm going to use is an organic product called Pyganic. I have used this before, and so this is like my step 2. So on step 1, I see the aphids. I usually will do neem oil or some type of just spraying it off with water. The spraying off with water usually has not worked for me, but you can do that. Then I do the neem oil. We did that 2 days ago. Then I go here to the Pyganic. That will usually get it down. But if it doesn't, I got a number 3 that I use, which is called Azure. Again, all organic. Now, this right here, expensive. But you can see, literally, it's right here. I bought it 2 years ago. Hopefully it don't expire. I don't think it does. I don't know. Can that kind of stuff expire? I don't know. Anyway, because I had an aphid infestation 2 years ago. Now what I have right here is not an aphid infestation. I think I caught it. I'm not going to say how long it's been there, but it's only on 40% of the tomatoes on the end of the row. The rest of them still look good, but before it gets bad, we're going to knock it out. So I'm going to mix some Pyganic with some water. So I'm just going to follow directions on here, put it in my backpack sprayer, because I don't have a spray bottle that is working effectively. So I'm going to use my backpack sprayer until I get me another bottle sprayer, and we're going to do the Pyganic, and then I will come back and check tomorrow. If it is not good, then we will go to the next level, okay? So when I had an aphid infestation before, it took about a week, but I did like neem oil, then I did Pyganic, then I waited a day and did neem oil again. If you want to see the video, that's like from 2 years ago, where I talked about exactly what I did, and I was able to get rid of it. But we're not at that level yet, but we're going to use this to hopefully not get to that level. So I'm going to mix this up. We're going to go out and spray. Okay guys, I got all of the tomatoes sprayed. I also used it on the squash. Now, technically Pyganic can kill squash bugs, but I haven't read that it can kill squash bug eggs, but it ain't gonna hurt it. So I tried it anyway. Neem oil obviously can do the squash bug eggs, but we already tried that and that ain't really working. Now I could do another application of the neem oil, but I will go out there and check it in the next day or so and see if we have any progress. But now we're gonna move on to the next thing. So this video is just, again, we're just trying to get some stuff done. And like I was saying in the beginning of the video, like I hadn't been wanting to do that, but now I'm glad that I did, because I would not have known as soon as I did that I had aphids on my tomatoes. But now we're going to be doing something that we should have been done, but we're going to get it done now a little bit later than we normally do it, and that's to put the shade cloth on the high tunnel. So let me show you some footage of us doing that. If you are new and you have never seen us do that, basically our high tunnel has a shade cloth that we keep on there usually between May and October. Usually around October time frame, we take it off and then we'll put it back on in May. So we're a little behind schedule putting it on in June, but the temperatures have been mild. This week they're kicking up to about 85 to 90 degrees. But of course in the tunnel, it's gonna be a good 20 to 30 degrees higher than that. So you don't want that much heat to burn your plants. Now, even though a lot of my plants in my tunnel are what we call specifically for the greenhouse, they're able to withstand high heat and high humidity. When the temperatures get up to like 90, it could easily be 130, 140 degrees in here, which is just too hot and can burn the plants. So we put the shade cloth on, and it helps to block out 30% of, I think we have a 30%, it blocks out 30% of the sun rays, and then the plants are able to still get the sun and the heat, but not too much. And then we take it off in the fall so that the plants can get all of the sun, because of course the days are shorter and the sun is not as bright. So that's what we're about to do now, is put the shade cloth back on. The shade cloth is the length, I shouldn't say the length, it goes all the way across the top of the high tunnel. I have to ask my husband if it's easier to take it off than to take it off than to put it on. I think it's easier to take it off than to put it on. Yeah, he says yes. So what he's doing is he's going to actually attach some string to a tennis ball. The tennis ball and that string gets attached to the shade cloth. I think that there is a groove in the high tunnel plastic where the wiggle wire is, and I think the shade cloth, does it go in that wiggle wire? Yeah. It goes in that wiggle wire. So let me see if I can get a closer shot. So you can see those grooves here. This is called wiggle wire. That's what actually that keeps the plastic on the high tunnel. And so the shade cloth is gonna go somewhere in between here. I think he's gonna weave it in and then pull it up over the top. But then the purpose of having the tennis ball is that so that you can throw the shade cloth over, and then the person on the other side can kind of pull the string and the tennis ball to get it over on the other side, and then they can kind of clip it in. So he and my son are gonna try doing this. I think this is the second time? Third time. It's our third time doing it. When we first got our high tunnel, the first year or two, we did not take the shade cloth off just because it seemed a little bit intimidating and daunting. But I noticed the difference with the shade cloth being on in the fall versus it not being on in the fall. So even though it can be, I wouldn't say a pain, obviously I'm not the one doing it, I'm just, taking footage. But you can tell a difference when the shade cloth is off in the fall versus keeping it on. Because the days are so short, when you keep the shade cloth on in the fall and the winter, the plants do not grow nearly as quickly and nearly as bountifully. So taking the shade cloth off in the fall and winter is the way to go if you have a high tunnel. So I'll show you how we kind of put this on here, and once we'll get this on here, at least it's done until at least October. Okay, so you can see that my husband is starting to put it on there, and you can see my son is on the other side of the tunnel pulling it across, because it definitely takes a two-man effort as he sends it over. So you can see my son is pulling, trying to get the shade cloth. You can't see the tennis ball as of yet. It's actually on the ground, because when he threw it over, it's attached to that string that's on the ground. And so then my son is pulling the string, and you can see the shade cloth is coming over. So we'll keep doing that. He'll pull it from this side, and then he'll also go over to the other side to pull it over, and then we'll hopefully straighten it out so that it's laying all the way across the high tunnel. Okay, y'all, we're moving on down the list. So the next thing on the list we're gonna do, and this is something that I have not talked about probably in a couple of, wait, do y'all see that sunflower behind me? Is that not the perfect backdrop? Oh my goodness, it's so pretty. That is the orange Pro Cut Excel Sunflower by Johnny Seeds. Okay, focus. Okay, so I have not talked about this in a couple of years. And I haven't done it in a couple of years, which is probably why I haven't talked about it. But because I haven't talked about it does not mean it's not important. And that's, I want to talk a little bit about mulching. And so, of course, we talk about fertilization and compost. And again, mulching is just as important. Again, I am guilty because, again, it's always on the list, but it's like somewhere down here and you can only do so much. But today is the day that we moving it up. We moving it on up the priority to-do list, and we are putting some mulch down in our raised beds. So let me tell you the reason why mulching is important. And so I usually, when I did the mulching video a couple of years ago, it was in the winter, and I used, if I'm not mistaken, I think I used wood chips because we had some free wood chips that had been delivered and they had been broken down, and we had those available. And I think I still have a little bit of wood chips. But today I'm using a different product called Garden Straw. It will be linked in my Amazon shop. Y'all, I love it. It is so light. It looks kind of like hay, but it's garden straw. It's very, very light. Obviously, again, you can get it off Amazon. But also, if you ever watch Epic Gardener, Kevin, he uses it on his YouTube channel, and he also has it on his site as well, but he's usually out of stock. So I got mine from Amazon, and like I said, it'll be linked in my Amazon shop if you want to grab some. But let's talk about the importance of mulching. So mulching, first of all, there is a philosophy, or not a philosophy, a principle when it comes to soil. And soil generally does not need to be naked, meaning it needs to be covered with plants, with mulch, you know, something of that sort. So even when you're not gardening, let's say you only do a summer garden and you're gardening and you're not gardening in the fall and the winter, a lot of times, of course, your garden is laying dormant. It's just bare. You should mulch your stuff in the fall and the winter because soil needs a covering. Without a covering, it's going to grow weeds. And it is, I wouldn't say losing some of its nutritional value, but it likes to be covered. And mulching is a way to cover your soil. The other reason why mulch is important is that it's going to help to retain the temperature of your soil. So in the summertime, it's going to actually keep my plants cooler. In the wintertime, it is going to keep the heat with the plants. So you don't just mulch in the winter or the summer. If you're gardening in both, then you want to mulch in both. If you're not gardening in the fall and the winter and you're leaving your stuff dormant, I would say always at the end of the summer season, when you are taking your crops out, even if you are cutting them at the base and letting them compost in place, still put a layer of mulch over your stuff so that way it can be breaking down and covering your soil, and the nutrients and stuff are going in your soil while you are while your garden is laying dormant. But for me, because we're in the tunnel and it's going to be hot, mulch will be a great covering for the soil. One, is going to help with weeds, which I struggle very little with weeds in my raised beds in the tunnel, like almost non-existent. So that's not the main reason I'm doing it, but I'm doing it also to help keep my plants cool and to cover the soil. There are many different things that you can mulch with. You can use straw, you can use hay, you can use wood chips, you can use tree leaves, tree clippings. You can use leaves like from the fall, like if you save them up. The thing with buying some mulch like straw or hay, you have to be careful that it doesn't have a lot of weed seeds in it, because you can start to introduce weeds into your garden. But I want to show you this product up close so that you can see. Y'all, when I say it's so light and fluffy, it is light and fluffy. It's not coarse, although it looks like hay. It's not coarse like hay. It almost has like the silky, light texture to it. So bring me some over here. Okay, so you can see what this looks like. Lucas, how would you describe how this feels? Light and thin. This is what it looks like. And then let me show you the bag. This whole bag is called Garden Straw. It covers up to 100 square feet in a garden, and it's by Healthy Straw, basically. It tells you the benefits as well. You're going to save water. It's going to prevent weed germination, maintains consistent soil temperature, which I said, improves your soil health and prevents erosion, promotes healthier plants by reducing diseases and providing more consistent access to water. So that's all the reasons why you want to use not just that product, but just to mulch. in general. So let me know in the comments if you regularly mulch, and if so, what do you use? And if you had some good success, I definitely recommend this product just because it's my first time using it. I love the way that it feels. I love the way that it feels light and all that. So we're going to get to mulching all of these beds, and I will show you what the end product looks like. This overall bag ends up doing all of my raised beds, all 6 of them, with the exception of one little section in the last bed. So I'm very pleased with the product and how it covers. And also this product, I keep saying it is very light, and it is. Even this bag is light, that it's not heavy. It's a big old bag, 3 cubic feet, but because the product is light, the bag is light, so you can see me carrying it. Also, this is much easier when you don't already have your plants already growing and big like I do, because I'm having to just take it by handfuls and put it in between the plants, versus if the plants were smaller, or if I did it before planting, then you could just literally just dump the bag in there and spread it out and be on your way. So this takes a little bit more time, but not a lot. But like I said, I'm just taking handfuls and then just putting it in between the plants. Also, you could do this as thick as 2 inches if you wanted to. I'm doing a pretty light layer because I was trying to see how much it would actually cover in terms of in my tunnel. But I've already ordered another bag because, one, I need to finish up the bed that had just one little last row that did not get covered. But then of course I'll have some left, so I may use it in my beds in the back, but I also may go back in and add maybe an additional layer to make it a little bit thicker. I'm also going to use it in my container pots as well to add mulch to them. So I like the way that this looks, I like the way that it feels, and I know that it's going to be great for the garden. So I can't wait to hear what you guys have done in terms of mulching and what you've used, and if you do mulching. So the next project after this is I tackle this last raised bed right here before I put the garden straw in it, and I decide to harvest the rest of the potatoes. So if you were with me about a week and a half ago, I did harvest half of this bed of potatoes, and we got a nice little handful, nothing too big, but I decided to leave the other ones that are in here maybe a week and a half longer. And so it's been in a week and a half, and I decided to harvest the rest of the potatoes. You can just see me. I already have some potatoes you can see in the ground that I've pulled up. And in this bed are a lot of ants, so that's why you see me using more of the trowel than you do my hands. I'm feeling mighty productive. Look at the rest of my potatoes. If you were here a couple of weeks ago, we harvested probably maybe 75% of that size or half that size. These are much bigger than when I harvested a few weeks ago. I'm not touching them because there were ants in this bed, and so I was picking them up with a shovel and just placing them in here. And I'm trying to shake some of the dirt off, but I don't want to touch them. But they're pretty, I got some pretty nice size ones. Now those are mostly russet potatoes, but they don't look like russet potatoes. And I've never grown russet potatoes, so this is my first time. Because russet potatoes are like a dark brown. Now I know once I cure them, the skin will get tougher, but is it gonna turn more brown? Because these look like almost like the ones I picked before, the Yukon Gold. You see? But I know that half of that bed was Yukon Gold and half of it was russet potatoes. But I don't know. Either way, we're gonna eat them. So that was one bed. We probably got, I don't know if I had to guess, that may be 5 pounds of potatoes, and then what I have in the house may be 2 or 3 pounds of potatoes. So let's just say 7 or 8 pounds for one bed. Not too shabby. And again, I just planted one bed because that was the only space that I had at that time. Potatoes is one of those things that I'm not great at, but because it's a great staple, I'm just gonna keep trying until I get it right. My philosophy. There's some things that I try and it doesn't go well, and I don't want to say I give up, but I just stop growing it, maybe for a season or for a spell, because I don't really care that much for it anyway. Like beets, I still have not been successful at growing beets, but because I don't eat beets, no big deal. But I'm trying to grow them so that I can use the beet powder, dehydrate and use beet powder, because my husband likes it in his smoothies. And also, you guys told me that roasted beets taste better, but I have yet to have the roasted beets because these hands have not grown any beets yet. But my point is, things like broccoli, it took me a long time. Spinach, it took me a long time. But those are things that I enjoy and that I eat quite a bit. And so I put more effort into I just keep trying every year. And every year it gets better and better. So the same thing with potatoes. I'm not an expert yet, but I'm going to keep trying it because it's such a staple. Such a staple. Sweet potatoes, I do pretty good. But the non-sweet potatoes, like baked russet potatoes and the Yukon Golds, they've been okay. But I'm pretty proud of this. I think this looks good. Let me show you one more time. Like, that's a real big one in the front. A real big one. But y'all, why is it not brown? Why is it not brown? I don't know. And I'm trying to think the ones that I took in the house. But I'm almost positive I did. The Yukon Gold, the first row and a half, and the last row and a half was russet. But I'm trying to think the ones that I have in the house, are they more dark brown? And maybe I got it mixed up. But when I say I'm almost certain, I'm like 99.9%. Those don't look like russet potatoes at all. But they are potatoes and they are edible. So now we have that empty bed. I'm not going to do it today because I don't think I have my seeds down here. But I'm going to be putting planting green beans out in that bed right there. And then whatever. Oh, let me show y'all this. Y'all going to be proud. You are going to be proud. Y'all, out of all the plants that I had, I'm down to this left. That's it. Your girl. I took a ton of plants to the back of my house when I harvested my garlic and planted out some of the raised beds back there. I have to show you that whenever we're back there. Again, I didn't do it on camera. But I'm only down to this right here. So this is like 5 celosias. So it can go in one of those, in that bed with the green beans, or I still got some space in the back. And then I think that these are jalapenos, but I'm not really sure. You can tell they all purpley. They need some nutrition. But this is all I have, plus one petunia over there on the table. So even though these things, I was trying to get rid of them, they actually came in handy, and I was able to use, I would say, at least 85% of them. Some of them I threw away just because I wasn't paying attention, and you know, I didn't need the plants. But these other plants came in handy, so kudos to me, kudos to me. So I'm gonna fill the last bed with the garden straw, and let me show you how it all came together. Okay, y'all, I have all the garden straw down. It did all 6 beds except that bed right there, the last bed that we harvested. I need one row. It doesn't cover that whole bed, but everything else it covered. It's much easier to put it down when you don't have plants in it like that one. Once the plants get big, you just kind of scooping it and putting it around the plants. But if you can see it, I like the way that it looks. All the plants are covered and protected. So that's what it looks like. I'm gonna buy another bag. I really like that stuff. I like the way it feels. I like the way that it's so light, and I know that mulching is good for my stuff. So I'm gonna buy another bag so I can finish, because I can't leave that just undone. So I'm gonna finish that, and of course I'll have leftover. Then I'll probably put some in my pots and containers, and then I can also just use the rest of it in my beds in the back. So I wonder, would it be good for walkways? I don't know, because I wonder, I have the feeling that if you step on it, it might be slippery. I don't know that to be fact, but when I say it's real light and silky like, something tells me I've been cascaded on across the tunnel. We don't want that. Trust me, I can never fall again in my life, okay? The way I have a knee issue, I can never fall again, okay? By the Lord's grace. So, I'm gonna do, y'all, look at my calendulas. Do you see them popping? Hold on, let me show you. Look at those calendulas. So pretty. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 blooms. Oh, I didn't mean to do it like that. We'll take them. So y'all, the shade cloth is back on. They're just trying to get into the wiggle wire now, but for the most part, it's pretty much done. It's oh, that's my shutters closing. But it's so funny, as soon as the shade cloth got back on, it felt like it was so dark in the tunnel because it blocked out all the sun. So yeah, that is done. The garden straw is done. And I did some harvesting while they were doing the thing. So You saw the potatoes. There's the potatoes. I harvested cucumbers. You can see I have about 6 cucumbers in here, and then I have 1 zucchini that was ready, some calendula, some dill, bouquet dill, flowers. I'm gonna freeze that to put in dill pickles. I have some cilantro that's trying to bolt, but it'll be fine. I harvested a few stalks of celery. I got basil, and I have lavender. So nice little harvest haul today. Okay, y'all, I feel accomplished that we got stuff done on this video. So it started off with, I'm doing the things I don't want to do, but we found out we had an aphid issue. We treated it twice. I will keep you posted on how that works out. We got the shade cloth on, we got our mulching done in our raised beds, and we did some harvesting. We got our potatoes finally harvested, so that bed is empty. So that'll be the last bed that we will be planting for the summer, which will be green beans. So it's a good start to the month. It's a good start to the month of June. So let me know if you have any questions about anything that we did on this video today, whether it's mulching, any of the plants in the tunnel, anything like that. Just put your questions down below. If you have not subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to subscribe and be a part of this community. Y'all remember, gardening is a journey. Let's do it together. I'll see you next time, friends.